everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm super excited to share with all of you my roundup of products that I tried in the month of December. So there were a lot of new products for this month because I went a little ham during the Black Friday sales and picked up a lot of items that ended up arriving at various points this month. And so for a lot of these products, I still haven't actually gotten a chance to play around with them a lot. So today's video is kind of a mix of a monthly roundup, a get ready with me, and also in some cases, a trying on new makeup. And so if you're curious about any of the products that I tried out this month or how I got today's look, then just stick around. So to start off today's look, recently I've been really loving mixing together my LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation with my Pat McGrath Sublime Fetish Foundation. So I'd say that the LYS is a little bit on the light side for me, whereas the Pat McGrath is a little bit on the deep side. So here's the Pat McGrath and here's the LYS. And so mixing them together has basically been creating my perfect foundation shade for the moment. These are both foundations that I picked up online without really getting shade matched in store. And so I think it's been really nice to have these two to mix together just to get a better shade match. Also, the finish of these two mixed together has really been my favorite as well. The performance of the hybrid is really nice. It looks very flawless on the skin, very comfortable and moisturizing. So I'm gonna have to try out these foundations by themselves more often. Basically, I've tried each of these alone once, but ever since I realized that mixing them together worked so well, it's been really hard for me to convince myself to go back to just using them individually. I would say that the LYS foundation is more of a hydrating formula, whereas the Pat McGrath Sublime Fetish is a little bit less so. Both of these have quite a liquid formulation though, so I feel like that's why they mix together really easily. And today I'm using my Rephr number 17 brush to blend this in, and I've been enjoying this little brush. I would definitely recommend it if you don't have a lot of foundation brushes. If you're like me and someone who mostly uses sponges, but occasionally wants to dabble with using a foundation brush, this guy is really affordable, especially if you get it from their concept store. And at first, I was a little worried that it would be too small because they do have a much larger foundation brush. But at least for me, I do like having more precision, especially when I'm applying foundation to the center of my face. And so I've been really enjoying this little brush. One thing I really like about Rephr brushes is because they're more affordable workhorse brushes, I think they work well for things like foundation and concealer where you do need to wash your brushes after every single use. And so for some of my pricier Sonia G brushes and such, I don't really like to wash them that often. But with the Rephr ones, I don't feel bad about giving them a quick wash after each use. And so I've been really enjoying having this little guy in my collection. For concealer, I don't have a brand new concealer for December, so I'm just gonna go in with my ABH Magic Touch Concealer in the shade 7. If you guys watched my Best of 2021 base products video, this concealer was one of my favorites for the year. I find that it's a really great concealer for providing pretty high coverage while still being pretty hydrating on the skin. And so I really like it for glam makeup days. And I'm blending this with my Rephr number 35 brush, which is this interestingly shaped little hoof brush. I think you can use this for a pretty wide variety of different use cases, but personally I've been mostly enjoying this for concealer application. It's really good for some pretty high precision concealing. It's small enough that you can really get the concealer where you want it. So now let's go in with the brow products, and I've been really loving these two brow products that I picked up from Kosas. I have their brow pencil in brown black and their brow gel in medium brown. So over the past month, this brow pencil has really risen very rapidly in my favorites. I was pretty surprised because I really bought this brow pencil kind of randomly. Kosas was having a huge sale on their website, and so since I liked their brow gel, I figured why not also try out their brow pencil. but I just find this so easy to apply. Normally I'm not a huge fan of creamy eyebrow pencils, but this one is a good mix of creamy enough to glide on easily, but without kind of getting all over the place. I really did not like the Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Brows eyebrow pencil precisely because I found it was just way too creamy for me, kind of just looked really, really dark on my brows and didn't really provide any sort of definition. Whereas this one is a much better in between. I mean, you can see how easy that was. I am not a very precise person when it comes to my brows, so you're not going to be seeing any in-depth brow tutorials from me, but I do really appreciate a good brow pencil that makes it easier for me to have a little bit more precision in my brows than I would be able to accomplish normally given just how lazy I am with them. With this brow cream, I love it both on days like today when I am doing kind of a glam look and I went in with a brow pencil to define my brows, but I actually also really love using this on an everyday basis where I'm pretty much not wearing much other makeup at all. Basically, this brow gel is really perfect for giving you a one and done, nice fluffy brow look. For me, I find that on no makeup days, having a little bit of brow gel makes all the difference in terms of just making my eyes look a little bit more awake and defined. As you could see, that was just really easy to apply. So I've been really enjoying this brow gel, and it's kind of no surprise because I ran through a mini version of this very quickly, but so far I've been loving the full-size version as well. So next up, I want to go in with some cream contour. So I have here my So Soft contour stick from M Cosmetics. I got this in the shade Terra. And today I'm going to try this with my Sonia G Lotus Set base brush, which I find is a really great shape for contouring. And this is actually just my second time using this product. Since my first initial impressions in the haul, I haven't really had a chance to play around with this product because I've been mostly going back to my best of 2021 products and kind of verifying that I still like them. So I can't give you guys a lot of update yet about this product, but stay tuned for a dedicated M Cosmetics video at some point. Alrighty, for today's application, this is going on pretty smoothly, I would say, with this brush. Similar to the first time I used this, I think what I like about this product is the tone is definitely a nice contour shade on me. There's really no warmth in this shade Terra, and so you're not going to have any issues of this coming across orangey on the skin. This is very much if you want to contour and have that sort of shadow effect. This product also applies very easily, and even though I haven't set anything yet, I feel like this is doing a good job of not picking up the foundation underneath, which is great. That's often an issue with these more pigmented formulas because you kind of have to zhuzh them around a little bit to really blend them in. But so far, so good. Alrighty, so my camera turned off while I was yammering on about cream blush and applying this side of my face. So sorry that that part is unfortunately not recorded, but it's okay. We're gonna rewind a little bit and pretend that that didn't happen. And so let me go ahead now and talk about the blush that I have on the side of my face, which is the LYS Cream Blush. And I am pretty sad that footage didn't get recorded because I actually saved this blush for today's video to do my first impressions of it. So apologies that it no longer looks nice and pristine, but it's okay. At least we can do it anew on this side. So first off, let me just give you guys a little swatch of the shade. So you can see that it is pretty pigmented overall. So this is the shade Confident, and I picked up this one because it looked pretty unique to me. It has a combination of really rosy tones, but also a little bit of a peachy nude undertone to it. So I'm hoping that this will be really great on an everyday basis. And here I have sort of a really light swatch of it, so you can see that if you blend it out, it can be really sheared out as well. So I applied this side of my face with a finger just to see how the formulation felt. And overall, I would say it was really easy to blend out, and I think gives a really nice layer of pigmentation. This is basically 2 layers of the blush on. It was a little bit sticky though as I was applying it, so I did find that my finger picked up some of the foundation as it was laying down the blush. So that was the one thing I didn't really like on this side. For this other side though, I'm going to go in with my Zoeva 110 brush just to see if this applies any differently with a brush. And in particular, whether applying it this way might prevent the foundation from getting picked up. Alrighty. Yeah, I think this is actually looking better already on this side. I'll have to take a closer look, but at least upon this initial application, I feel like on this side, I'm not seeing the foundation get disturbed as much. And also I feel like this brush application is applying it a lot more evenly than on this side where I went in with my finger. Yeah, so taking a closer look, I definitely prefer this side to this side. So just a little pro tip with this product, at least if you're applying it on top of foundation, you might want to go in with a brush and do that sort of soft patting motion. With the finger, I was doing the same motion, but I think because this texture is just slightly sticky, it was just sticking more to my finger and more product was getting picked up. Now let's do just a quick hair test because my least favorite part of cream blushes is they usually tend to be a magnet for my hair. So let's see, does this stick? Alrighty, I would say there is a little bit of sticking happening. Alrighty, yeah, so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully this sets down as the course of the day goes on. So I'll have to update you guys in a future video about how this product wears throughout the day, but at least upon initial application, it definitely has a little bit of tack to it. Before we move on to powder, I did want to just give you guys a quick update about the So Soft blush from M Cosmetics. I have this in the shade Pearl Tea, and since my first video with this product, I've been using it on days when I don't have any other makeup on. And I would say that currently my feelings about it are that I like it, but I don't necessarily love it. I still prefer my Kosas Tropic Equinox cream blush to this one. I find that one is just a little bit more blurring and illuminating on the face. So just a little bit better for providing a healthy glow on a no makeup day. This product is a little bit more straightforward, I would say. It has no shimmer to it and it has no blurring properties. It just basically provides a thin wash of color to your cheeks. It is really easy to blend out and overall it's not sticky. And so I do like those aspects of it. I'll have to keep trying it out to give you guys my full verdict, but I did just want to give you guys that brief update that at least for now, it's not beating out my Kosas Tropic Equinox. So for powder today, I want to go in with my LYS Translucent Setting Powder in the shade Resilience. So this is a powder that I haven't actually gotten a chance to use a lot of yet because I have been working more so on confirming my favorites for 2021. So you can think of this more as like an updated impression today rather than an actual review. I will be doing a dedicated LYS video at some point, and for that video I'll do some more wear tests. So today I'm just going to put this pretty much everywhere around my face and very lightly on my cheeks because I don't want to completely dim the glow, but I do want to set those cream products. Alrighty, so here we have the powder all over my face. And I would say from my initial couple impressions of this powder, it's a pretty solid powder. Because I've been mainly using my best of 2021 powders recently, I don't know that this quite competes with those powders yet, at least. To me, this is kind of in between my Charlotte Tilbury powder and my Kosas powder in terms of the type of effect it gives. The thickness of the powder on the skin is a little bit lighter than the Charlotte Tilbury, but a little heavier than the Kosas. It's not as blurring and mattifying as the Charlotte Tilbury though. So at least upon these initial impressions, I still prefer those powders a little bit more. But this is still very much the early stages of me using this powder, and so I'm gonna have to keep playing around with this and give you guys my updated impressions as time goes. This powder is way less expensive than any of my favorites, and so that's also something I'm gonna have to factor in as I continue trying out this powder. So let's finish off this cheek look now with some highlighter. So this is the Aim High highlighter from LYS in the shade Genuine. So this is their rose gold highlight. Ooh, that's really pretty. Here is a close-up of that. Wow, this seems like it's gonna be a really bright highlight given how much shine came off with that one swipe. So I'm gonna take my Sonia G detail brush and just lightly tap in to start and see how that looks. Okay, I need to tap in a little bit more. I think this is kind of a pressed formula. Ooh, there we go. Very pretty, very liquid appearance. Hopefully you guys can see that. Wow, okay, definitely brings back any shine that the powder took away. Ooh, this is a really interesting formula. It gives a much more liquidy effect than most of the other highlights that I have. Wow, I do really like this. So one thing I always look for in new highlighter formulas is I really don't like them to cover up my blush shades. I find with a lot of cheaper highlighters that happens where it adds some shine, but it also adds a lot of cast to the skin. And that's not what I'm looking for with a highlight. I want at certain angles the highlight to be basically invisible, and then other angles to really see that shine. And I think this one is doing a pretty good job of that. There is a tiny bit of a cast, like when I look at my face straight on, but overall it's a really beautiful shine and very liquidous on the skin, which is so interesting because it's quite a dry formula to touch, but the overall effect it gives is very much a wet look. Very nice. Okay, quite impressed with this upon initial impression. If you don't like a really wet, bright highlight, I would suggest going in with a very light hand or maybe trying out a different formula. But if you do like that sort of wet look, this one will definitely give it to you for a very affordable price. So before we go into the eyeshadow look, let me just quickly give you guys some updates on the other cheek products I tried out this month. So first off, we have this Kosas Powder Blush and Highlight Duo in the shade Contrachroma High Intensity. So I've only gotten a chance to try this out once, but upon initial impression, I do like this formula. It's a pretty powdery formula, but quite easy to blend into the skin. And for this compact in particular, since this is in the high intensity, which means it has double the pigment, it is too pigmented for me to use as a normal blush and highlight. But the way I have enjoyed using this is basically dabbing my brush on both sides of this really lightly, kind of tapping off my brush and then blending it in. It gives a really nice bronzy look to the skin. If you guys watched my first impressions of this formula using this Papaya 1972 color story, I wasn't a huge fan of this highlighter, and I would still say that I'm not a huge fan of this highlight formula, but I think the way I enjoy applying this now is more so mixing these two shades together to create more of a shimmery blush, and then if I want more highlight, I'll go in with a separate highlighter. So overall, these are pretty solid, but I would probably not buy them for full price. Next, we have these two Pat McGrath highlighters. First off, for this Golden Nectar Divine Glow highlighter, I already knew I love this formula, so it's just a matter of whether I like the shade. And this one has impressed me in terms of being much more of a natural gold on my skin than what I thought given some of the pictures. I was worried that this would be too yellowy, but I think as you guys can see in the swatch, it actually comes across as a pretty natural champagne on me. So I really enjoyed having this in my collection, and this formulation did make it to my best of 2021 highlights. This other highlight, which is the Lunar Nude highlighter from her holiday collection, has quickly risen to be one of my favorite highlights. I basically have been using this highlighter non-stop ever since I got it. It's really hard for me to feel convinced to use any other highlighter, just given how incredibly gorgeous this is. As you can see, this is a very high shine, bright, beaming highlighter. So if you're not into that, definitely don't pick this up. But if you do want a really high shine holiday highlight, this one has really got you covered. And it's just so pretty and so fun to use. And here's a close-up of those highlighters. So this one is the LYS, Pat McGrath Golden Nectar, and then Lunar Nude from Pat McGrath. Aren't these just all so beautiful and sparkly? So for today's eyeshadow look, I wanted to center it around a couple of these Clionadh eyeshadows since I still haven't had a chance to play around with all of them. So in particular, I want to go into Majesty over here and Emboss. Here are the swatches of the two of them. Majesty has an orange base that shifts gold, green, turquoise. And this is in Clionadh's Vibrant Multi-Chrome formula. And then Emboss has a semi-pigmented salmon base with small medium glitter particles that shift lime, turquoise, and blue. So this is a glitter multi-chrome formula. So I can't wait to get these on my lids. I have really been loving playing around with these Clionadh eyeshadows. They're just so beautiful, so much fun. I am so happy I picked up a bunch of these during their Black Friday sale. To set up this look though, I'm gonna first take some mattes from Midnight Sun from Pat McGrath. So starting out with my Wayne Goss number 16. Let me bring you guys closer so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just gonna blend this all over the crease area. And this is on Unset Concealer today. I've been really enjoying dipping into Midnight Sun recently. I don't know why, something about this palette just seems really perfect for me in the cooler months. I think it's just the slightly grungy autumnal undertones to this palette that just really make me pick it up a lot once the weather gets cold. And as you can see, this shadow is just blending out like a dream. In general, this shade is really perfect for just a relatively natural shadow on my skin tone. Great for setting up any sort of look. Now with my reference number 15, I'm going to go into this red shade and use this just to deepen things up, focusing this more on the outer third, but also bringing it into the crease area. And I'm not going to be too precious with the shadow placement because the shimmers are definitely going to be the star of today's show. And then with my reference number 32, I'm just going to refine the outer corner, just making that a little bit cleaner. So with the super easy matte base down, I'm going to go in with my Pat McGrath IntensifEYES Artistry wand. So if you guys watched my Best of 21 makeup video, you know that this wand quickly shot up in the favorites. I was excited to try it out and impressed the first time I used it, but not really sure if this was worth the hype, given that you could also just use normal mixing liquid. But honestly, ever since I got this, I've been using this pretty much every time I do an eyeshadow look, because especially if you like using flaky, glittery shades, this wand will be your best friend. So I'm just sweeping it all over my lid area where I plan to apply the shimmers. And as you can see, it is kind of erasing some of the mattes, which is why I wasn't too precious about where I put those. So now with the finger, I'm gonna first go in with Emboss, and I'm gonna put this on the inner third. Ooh, very pretty shade. Yeah, this definitely has a bit of almost a translucent base to it. And the shift almost has some blue. Wow, It's funny because like in the swatch, because my arm is flatter than my eyelids, you can't really see as much of the shift, but on the lids, I feel like I'm really seeing that kind of turquoise, bluish, greenish shift. And then with another finger, I'm going in with Majesty. And I'm just gonna apply this on the center of the lid. Wow, That is a really vibrant shade. So pretty. I don't know that these shades actually go together that well. I mean, Majesty is definitely way warmer toned in comparison to Emboss, but it's okay. They're both really gorgeous, so I don't think there's that much right or wrong with playing around with makeup. All right, so now I'm just gonna keep applying some layers and try to smooth over where the two of them meet. It's funny, I meant for this to be a little bit more of an everyday friendly look because I thought, you know, pairing something kind of pinky red with something kind of orangey yellow would be, you know, sort of like a cute autumn look. But I'm definitely getting more like alien vibes from this, which is fine. I really like that, but just not what I expected. Wow, look at that. Huh, so much fun. So here we have these very shifty shades on my lids. Hopefully you guys can see some of that dimension and shift. It's so pretty, wow. So for cleanup duty, I'm going back into the red shade with my Wayne Goss number 20 brush. And I'm just gonna basically brush this all around the edges very lightly because I don't wanna disturb too much the shimmers, but I just wanna make sure they blend in nicely with that matte transition shade. And then finally with my Wayne Goss number 16 brush, I'm just taking a tiny bit more of that ochre shade and just sweeping that around to just fully blend everything together. Then with my Sonia G Mini Booster, I'm going into Golden Nectar for inner corner and brow bone highlight. This is such a pretty shade that really works well with any sort of look that you're doing. Look at that shine. For the lower lash line, I'm gonna go in again with my Wayne Goss number 20, this time into the ochre shade, and then brush that all over my lower lash line area. Not being too precise with this placement. I want that nice hazy look. And then just dabbing a little bit into the red shade, I'm gonna focus this more on the outer thirds to add a little bit more depth. And now going back in with the Artistry wand, I'm going to run this just along the inner half of my lower lash line. With my Sonia G Builder, I'm going to dip into Majesty and just stamp that along the middle part of my lower lash line. And cleaning that off, I'm going into Emboss and putting just a little bit of that on the inner thirds, just to match what we have going on the lids. So there we go. Here is the finished eyeshadow look. Very simple, just 2 mattes and 2 shimmer shades, but so much shine and dimension. So I'm gonna go off camera now and finish off this look with some eyeliner and lipstick. I did want to quickly mention though, since I picked up this Pat McGrath eyeliner quite recently, this has rapidly become one of my favorites. It was in my best of 2021 favorites. I absolutely love this eyeliner for my waterline area. In fact, if you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you know that before I got this eyeliner, I pretty much never put eyeliner in my waterline. I would just go in with some liquid eyeliner to do my wing and just call it a day. But this just glides on so easily. It's so comfortable while still being long lasting. So I am a huge fan of this Pat McGrath eyeliner. And I have this in the shade Black Coffee. So I realized I actually do have a couple lip products to talk about with you guys. So we're gonna do that together on camera. But here is the completed eye look. I'm actually digging that this is giving me a little bit more hippie psychedelic vibes paired with the dress that I have on today, whereas I was going for a little bit more just straightforward holiday. So I think these are actually pretty fun shadows to put together. Not really what I would normally go for color story wise, but really fun and interesting. So before we go into the lips, I did want to quickly give you guys a couple updates on the other eyeshadows that I tried out this month. So first off, we have Voyeuristic Vixen from Pat McGrath. And if you guys saw my Pat McGrath haul video where I first tried this out, you know that I liked this palette, but this shade over here, Rose Fire Nectar, was just complete Fallout City. So that was the one thing I was not a fan of with this. But I have since tried it with this Pat McGrath IntensifEYES Artistry wand, which was a complete game changer. Basically no fallout once I used this wand, and I really loved the look that I got with this wand. In fact, if you're curious what I was wearing in my 12 lessons from a year on YouTube video, it was this palette, and I've really been enjoying this palette ever since. It's just such a gorgeous palette that can give really beautiful subdued looks or really high shine but easy to put together looks. This is definitely my favorite quad from Pat McGrath, with the caveat that I normally don't like quads that much. One thing I will note though about Color Story is when I picked up this quad, I thought of it as a really neutral quad, and so the lip products I was using with it were more in the kind of brownish nude category. Now that I've used this a couple times though, I've realized this is actually a much more cooler toned, almost purple leaning quad because of this matte shade over here. On my skin tone, this matte has really strong plummy undertones, so I find this quad pairs a lot better with more pinky tones. So I'll actually show you guys some pictures of the same look, but with just different lipsticks, so you can see what I mean. But I realized once I switched up the lip color with this quad, the look just was so much more coherent and looked so much nicer. But I did just want to mention that because I think in pictures this does come across really neutral. So if you're not a fan of slightly cooler leaning plummy tones, this is probably not a good quad for you. And conversely, if you were turned away from it because you thought it was too brown and nude, it might actually be a better fit for you if you like those sorts of pinky plummy undertones. But overall, just a really beautiful, fun quad to play around with. The other palette that I tried out this month was the Adept Cosmetics Ninhydrin palette, and this was love at first use for me, so stay tuned for that video. I'm not going to talk too much about it today because I will have a dedicated video coming up probably in the next week or so. So definitely subscribe down below if you aren't already. But this is just such a gorgeous palette. So many fun shades, so many sparkly, shifty, multi-dimensional shadows that perform impeccably. So would highly recommend this, and looking forward to playing around more with this palette. Alrighty, so now let's finish off this look with some lip products. So first off, I have here the Pat McGrath Permagel lip liner in the shade Supernatural. This is a brownie nude shade, and I picked this up in my recent Pat McGrath haul. I'm not sure if this will go with the lip color that I selected today, but I did want to just show you guys this color again. So here is the lip liner just around the perimeter of my lips. You can see it's a similar tone to my lip color, but just a little bit more caramel and brown. This is one of my all-time favorite lip pencil formulas, so I'm really excited to have this guy in my collection, and I would highly recommend the Pat McGrath formula if you want a really long-lasting creamy lip liner. And the shade Structure was featured in my Best of 2021 Lip Products video. For lipstick today, I thought it'd be fun to do a first impressions with you guys of this UOMA Beauty Badass lipstick. I got this in my latest Ipsy Glam bag, and I have it in the shade Diana. This is my first lipstick from UOMA Beauty. This is a matte formulation, which is usually not my cup of tea, but we'll see how this goes. That did swatch really beautifully though. That was such a creamy pigmented swatch. So excited to see how this formula performs. Wow, that is a really pigmented lipstick. Definitely try to be very precise with your placement of this product because it is super opaque with just one swipe, but so gorgeous. The pigmentation and the finish on this is really pretty. Wow. I would say even though it's described as a matte lipstick, at the moment at least it does have a little bit more of a satin sheen on my lips. I do wonder though if that will dry down a little bit. Ooh, really pretty though. Also, this packaging is really nice, has a nice weight to it, a magnetic closure. It says a badass does not talk about being a badass, which is pretty fun. So wow, I am enjoying this upon initial impression. I mean, I usually hate matte lipsticks, so the proof will be in the pudding in terms of how I feel a few hours from now. But upon initial application, it is very comfortable at the moment. And more than that, what is really striking me is just the finish of this. I keep looking at my lips because they're just so pretty. Wow. I mean, again, not a matte finish at all, but the satin sheen on this just looks so vibrant and juicy almost. Wow. I don't know. I really love the way my lips are looking right now. So far, really digging this. This is definitely a product I'm gonna have to give you guys an update on in my January roundup, since this is just my first impressions. But at least the finish and effect of this lipstick is very nice. In terms of color, I don't know that I would have gone for something so bright red with this look, but I guess this is kind of bringing back the holiday cheer to this look. So I think I am gonna just leave this on and then we'll see. Maybe I'll switch it up later on, but for now I am digging how this just brings a bit more glam to the look. So here we have it, a full face of new products from the month of December. Before we wrap up this video, I did want to also talk to you guys about some of the skincare products I've been using this month. So first off, if you've watched any of my best of skincare videos recently, you know that I've been loving this Caudalie Vinoperfect serum. It's been a longtime favorite of mine, and this is my second bottle. I did want to mention it in today's video though because I stopped using this serum for several months earlier this year and was experimenting with a bunch of other serums. But then recently I opened up this bottle and have been using this every night, and it just reminded me how much I absolutely love this serum. So for me, hyperpigmentation is definitely one of my main skincare concerns, but vitamin C, which is everyone's favorite ingredient for hyperpigmentation, is really irritating on my skin, so unfortunately I can't use vitamin C serums. This guy over here has a vitamin C alternative, and I find that this is the perfect brightening serum for me. It's so comfortable on the skin. It even feels really hydrating on my skin, which is amazing because usually when I put on a serum, I feel like within a few seconds I have to put on my moisturizer. Otherwise, my dry skin just feels really, really dry. But this guy is both moisturizing, non-irritating, and also brightening. So I did just want to give a shout out for this guy in case any of you are like me and want a brightening serum in your life but are not a fan of or just can't use vitamin C serums. Another skincare product I've been loving this month is another oldie but goodie, which is the Kiel's Ultra Facial Cream. This is also my second tub of this cream. I used this cream for a while earlier this year, finished off my tub, and then similar to the Caudalie Vinoperfect, I tried using a bunch of other moisturizers, some of which I liked and some of which I didn't. But recently I started using this product again and have just been reminded how much I love this. So where I live, it has been getting pretty cold and pretty dry, and I find this is the perfect facial cream that is really lightweight and almost feels more like a watery cream instead of a really thick oil-based cream. And yet it manages to really seal in the moisture on my skin and keep my skin hydrated. And so if you're someone with dry skin, or in the winter months your skin is feeling a bit drier and you don't want to have a really heavy sort of Vaseline-like moisturizer, this guy is a really great moisturizer to try out, and I've just been loving using this every morning and evening. Finally, in the skincare favorites for the month, we have the Neogen Daylight Protection Airy Sunscreen. And this has broad spectrum SPF 50. So this was actually a recommendation from one of you in one of my skincare videos. I talked about how much I love the Papa Recipe Bomb Bee Honey Sunscreen in one of my previous skincare favorites videos. And that sunscreen has been out of stock, maybe discontinued for much of this year. And so one of you recommended that I try out this sunscreen, and I'm really excited that I did because I've been really loving it so far. For a long time, I used the original Neogen formula, and I liked it, but after a while, I did find it to be a little bit drying on my skin, and so I ended up going on to other sunscreens. But this one so far has not been drying on me. I mean, I can't say for sure how much of it is this versus the moisturizer in terms of what's been keeping my skin hydrated. But so far so good on this guy. It has absolutely no white cast, really absorbs into the skin very quickly, and is comfortable and non-drying throughout the day. So thank you very much for the recommendation. So before I close out this video, because this is my last video of the year, I did want to just take a moment and thank you all so much for all of the support over the past year. Thanks to all of you who have watched my videos, liked them, commented on them. This was my first year on YouTube, and so it really means a lot to me that all of you have taken time out of your day to spend some time with me just playing around with makeup. Going into 2022, I am really excited to continue creating content for all of you and hopefully continuing to grow this channel. So I hope all of you have an amazing holiday season and start to the new year, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next year. So thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!